Hey everybody, Jeff Rabjohns, Trevor Andershock from Peegs.com, here with you from Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Indiana gets a win against Chattanooga by 9 points, and it's next to the last non-conference game of the season. They have Winthrop coming up in a week. Then Big Ten play starts. We'll start with this game, though. Indiana got the win, so they get the W. But there are a number of things that follow that particular word as far as this game goes. I got a few thoughts, Trevor. Tell me where you want to start with kind of the things you take away from this game as it relates to the game and moving forward.
Well, I would probably start with the end first. We had a chance to really blow out Chattanooga after they did start hot, made a lot of shots early, got easy looks early. But, Malik Renew gets that and one dunk, go up 13 with about 12 and a half to go. Looks like IU could roll from there, make it a 20-point game, really pad the resume. Then they do not get a field goal for over 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes, get a couple free throws in that mix, but no field goals. And, Chattanooga just hangs around until the final couple possessions. Chattanooga had a chance to tie this game or, even take the lead with a couple stops and scores. So I think you really look at the missed opportunity Indiana, basically missed by not being able to finish strong in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The scoring droughts are a problem for Indiana. This is a Chattanooga team that was ranked around 265th in the country on Bart Torvik's rankings in adjusted defensive efficiency coming in. They're not a good defensive team. And for Indiana to go 6+ minutes without scoring and almost 10 minutes without a field goal, those are long droughts in any game. But against a team that really doesn't defend all that great, those things really, really jump out. I think those are big problems. That's something that Indiana's got to figure out. They've got to just figure out some things that are go-to plays, adjust some schemes. But those are really long scoring droughts. That was a problem. And like you said, that was 65-61 with just a little under 3 minutes left. That is plenty of time to get 2-3 stops, get 2-3 scores. And then all of a sudden, Indiana's at risk of losing to a team that entered the game 217th in the net rating. It would have been a truly disastrous loss. A quad four loss. It would have been a quad 4 loss. Getting a quad 4 win at home really doesn't do much for you. In fact, it really doesn't do anything for you. But the only thing IU really did as far as the result, they avoided disaster. But other than that, this doesn't mean much on the resume, does it?
No, definitely not. Obviously, avoiding the quad 4 loss is good. But, again, this was an opportunity where you could take that step. This is a team that, like Rabbi said, does not defend. You could work on new actions, get different things going, get your guards into a rhythm. Miles Rice has been struggling with confidence and his production. This was a game where he could have got going. That didn't happen again. So you just have more and more missed opportunities, and we're basically halfway through the season now. You don't get many more of these, and things could go really south if they don't get fixed, and now you're going to play tougher competition while trying to fix things. That usually does not work out well.
Right. Malik Renew had a pretty solid game, but again, IU had a massive talent advantage overall, and certainly inside. Like you mentioned before the game started, Chattanooga was going small, clearly looked like they were going to hunt threes, which they did. Indiana, another opponent, comes into Assembly Hall, makes 10 or more threes. It's not a monster number, but when you, on the other hand, aren't matching that or you're not making them, then it does kind of become a problem. Indiana still seems to be leaving. Let me rephrase. Indiana is still leaving shooters. There were a couple times Chattanooga's 5'10", maybe 5'10", point guard drives, and Indiana collapses. And it's like, you think that kid's going to make a move on Omar Ballo in the post? Like, just your thoughts on IU continuing to leave shooters, especially wings, places that the teams like Chattanooga hunt threes.
Well, the thing that really baffled me was Chattanooga is known for their away from the ball movement. Their back cuts, their back doors, curling around screens away from the ball, and just slipping screens. They go to a ball screen and slip right to the basket. And IU really struggled with that. That's their main offensive action, and IU was not ready for them. They were not alert. They were not urgent on coming over the help side. And that has been a theme all year long, where the help side just is not there. They are not ready to make a play. And you get into a scramble situation, And, even a bad team, well, I won't call them bad, but a low D1 team like Chattanooga can make you pay when you are in the scramble mode defensively. And we
Right.
saw that tonight.
Right. Yeah, those are the big things that stood out for me from this game. And again, it's a team ranked 217. Winning the game, it's not really anything of any significance other than the fact that, again, you avoided the quad 4 loss. You avoided big resume disaster. Winthrop next, then Big Ten play. I guess the other thing that, let me rewind. I guess the other thing that kind of concerned me from this game, IU had a week to prep. They had a week to work, like you said, add new actions, work on actions, really do some things. Not much happened. You don't look at their last game to this game and go, okay, they did A, B, and C better.
Especially when you ended that Nebraska game by giving up a 16-1 run to end the game. And then you come out with this type of effort. You have to really call into their hungriness, their competitiveness, what they were doing in the week plus leading up to it. Either the message isn't being taught well or the players just are now receiving it, but one or the other has to change here.
Yeah, and it needs to change here within the next couple of weeks because Winthrop, they're not very good. Indiana plays them at home. Indiana should beat Winthrop. Then, okay, Big Ten play starts. You got Rutgers on January 2nd. Rutgers is struggling, clearly. They just lost to Princeton today. Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, great. Rutgers overall, not so great. But then you look at that stretch from January 11th to February 11th, and, the first 3 Big Ten games, it's Rutgers, Penn State, and Philadelphia at the Palestra. By the way, those of you who are IU fans who are thinking about maybe going to that game, go to the Palestra. It's worth it. Get on a plane, buy the ticket, go to the Palestra. Back to basketball. It's Rutgers, Penn State, and the Palestra, USC. All 3 winnable games, although Penn State's playing some good ball at times. That's going to be a problem. But then that stretch from January 11th to February 11th, I mean, that really looks like that's going to be, unless that looks like a stretch where Indiana's going to have to play a lot better than they have so far, or that could be a real problem.
Yeah, we've seen that the last 2 years with IU. You have that stretch of the Big Ten schedule where it's a gauntlet. You're playing, NCAA tournament teams day in, day out. You play them really quick back-to-back. You don't have much prep time, only 2 or 3 days in between games many times, and they're just keep coming at you. So if you're not correcting the things we've talked about ahead of that stretch, I mean, it's a real avalanche, and the snow just keeps piling on.
It's a pretty good analogy. I like that one. Yeah, so that's kind of what you look at when you look at the big picture. And the other thing for Indiana is they're going to go into January with no quad 1 wins. They've got a net ranking in the 60s. We'll see where it is after today, but today's not going to do much. Your rankings in the 60s, you got no quad 1 wins. They got to make up ground to make the NCAA tournament. That's what they're looking at. I mean, they had to do well in the Bahamas. That didn't go well at all. And I know Woodson mentioned Providence. Like, it's a quad 2 win, but they beat them without Bryce Hopkins, and Providence lost to Rhode Island with Bryce Hopkins. So the NCAA selection committee isn't going to be blown away by the fact that you beat Providence without Bryce Hopkins. No quad 1 wins. Is it fair to say they're almost behind the 8 ball going into January?
Oh, I think so. I think Bart Torvik's projection had it at 30 to 40% that IU would make the NCAA tournament at this point. And like you said, you're going to have opportunities with that tough schedule, so it could go one way or the other. But right now, they have to beat those quality teams, especially on the road. You got to steal some road victories here in the Big Ten to get some quad 1 victory, pad the resume a little bit more, and be safe at a at-large bid going into final weeks of the Big Ten schedule.
Well, that'll wrap it up from here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. For Peegs.com, I'm Jeff Rabjohns. He's Trevor Andershock. We'll have a lot more coming up on Peegs.com in the next few days. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.